The Drachnid warship, Eternal Flame, hung in high orbit above the blue marble of Earth, its obsidian hull reflecting starlight like polished volcanic glass. Commander Zarak stood at the bridge viewport, his scaled arms crossed behind his back, golden eyes narrowed as he studied the planet below. 300 years of uncontested military supremacy had taught the Drachnids that they were the galaxy's apex predators. Their homeworld of Drachnia, with its crushing gravity and constant volcanic activity, had forged them into living weapons. Another soft world, Zarak muttered, his vocal flanges vibrating with contempt. Look at all that water. No wonder the inhabitants are so fragile. First Officer Neela approached, her ceremonial armor kicking against the deck plates. The preliminary scans are complete, Commander. The humans appear to have achieved spaceflight only recently, but their technological progress is remarkable. Remarkable. Zarak turned, towering over his subordinate. They've barely left their cradle. Our empire had colonized 12 systems by the time we achieved their current level of technology. With respect, sir, Naira continued, their adaptability is unprecedented. They've established settlements in every climate zone on their planet. Arctic wastes, burning deserts, dense jungles. They thrive everywhere. Before Zarak could respond, the ship's communications officer called out, Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. The humans are requesting diplomatic contact. Zarak's scaled lips curled into what passed for a smile among his kind. Very well. Let's see what these soft creatures have to say. Prepare my shuttle. I will meet their leaders personally. The descent through Earth's atmosphere was turbulent, but nothing compared to the storms of Drachnia. As the shuttle approached the designated landing zone, a facility called the United Earth Diplomatic Center, Zarak observed the surrounding city with increasing interest. The structures were smaller than Drachnid architecture, but there was an efficiency to their design he hadn't expected. The welcoming committee consisted of 5 humans, led by a female who introduced herself as Ambassador Diana Winter. Zarak was surprised to note that despite the planet's lower gravity, the humans moved with considerable grace and strength. Welcome to Earth, Commander Zarak, Ambassador Winter said, extending her hand in what his cultural briefing had indicated was a traditional greeting. We're honored to host representatives of the Drachnid Empire. Zarak clasped her hand, careful not to apply too much pressure with his clawed digits. To his surprise, her grip was firm, unwavering. The honor is mine, Ambassador, though I must admit we were surprised to detect your civilization. Most species capable of achieving spaceflight emerge from more hospitable worlds. Diana's smile didn't waver, but something flickered in her eyes. Hospitable is relative, Commander. Earth has shaped us in ways you might find interesting. Would you care to join us for a tour of our facility? We've prepared demonstrations of human capability that might challenge your preconceptions. What followed would shake the foundations of Drachnid superiority. The humans had arranged a series of physical and mental challenges, ostensibly to share cultural understanding. Zarak watched in growing disbelief as human athletes performed feats of endurance that would challenge even Drachnid warriors. They ran for hours without rest, demonstrated remarkable problem-solving abilities under pressure, and showcased a diversity of combat techniques adapted to every conceivable environment. But it was the final demonstration that truly caught Zarak's attention. In a controlled environment, human test subjects willingly subjected themselves to temperature extremes, oxygen deprivation, and physical stress that would have killed most species in the galaxy. Their bodies adapted, their minds remained sharp, and most remarkably, they seemed to thrive on the challenge. You see, Commander, Diana explained as they watched a human survival expert emerge from a sub-zero chamber. Earth isn't just one environment. It's dozens, hundreds, each demanding different adaptations. We didn't become strong by living on a single harsh world. We became strong by learning to survive and thrive anywhere. Zarak felt a profound shift in his worldview. The Drachnids had evolved to dominate one harsh world. Humans had evolved to adapt to any world. As he prepared to return to his ship that evening, he sent an urgent message to the Drachnid High Command. Initial assessment of human species requires immediate revision. Recommend highest priority classification. These are not prey species. They are not weak. They are something we have never encountered before, and they may be the greatest challenge our empire has ever faced. In his quarters that night, Zarak reviewed the day's data, unable to shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever. The humans hadn't just survived their world, they had mastered it. And now they were looking to the stars. The age of unchallenged Drachnid supremacy was over. The age of humanity had begun. The Drachnid High Command's response to Commander Zarak's report was swift and unprecedented. Within days, a full battle fleet arrived in Earth's solar system, led by General Raithar Vex aboard the dreadnought Storm's Fury. The massive ships cast long shadows across Earth's orbital stations, their presence both a show of force and intense curiosity. Ambassador Diana Winter stood in the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the Drachnid ships with a mixture of concern and fascination. Behind her, Joint Chiefs Chairman Marcus Rodriguez spoke in hushed tones. They're positioning for a strike formation. Rodriguez noted, his weathered face grim. We should move our defense platforms too. No, Diana interrupted, turning to face him. This isn't an attack, it's a test. As if confirming her words, a communication request chimed through the station's systems. The holographic projection materialized, revealing General Vex's imposing figure. Unlike Commander Zarak's obsidian scales, Vex's were a deep crimson, marked with the ceremonial scars of countless victories. Ambassador Winter, Vex's resonant voice filled the chamber. I bring a proposal from the Drachnid High Command. We wish to conduct joint military exercises with your forces. Diana caught the subtle shift in Rodriguez's stance. This was unprecedented. The Drachnids had never invited another species to train with them. We're listening, General. 3 trials, Vex continued. Ground combat, space warfare, and survival challenges. Mixed teams of humans and Drachnids competing against pure teams of each species. The galaxy watches, Ambassador. Will humanity prove Commander Zarak's assessment correct? Diana stepped forward, her own voice carrying the weight of centuries of human determination. We accept, General, but we have one condition. I will personally participate in these trials. The announcement sent shockwaves through both human and Drachnid command structures. Over the next week, as preparation began, Diana underwent intensive training with both human special forces and Drachnid combat instructors. The latter were particularly surprised by her adaptability, and none more so than General Vex himself. Your form is unusual, Vex observed during a close combat training session. He had insisted on personally evaluating the human ambassador, much to his advisor's concern. But effective. You adapt your techniques to account for our superior strength. Diana moved through the combat forms again, her movements fluid and precise. That's humanity's greatest weapon, General. We don't try to overpower our challenges, we learn to overcome them. Something shifted in Vex's golden eyes. You remind me of the ancient warriors of my homeworld. Before we relied solely on our natural advantages, He demonstrated a modified combat stance. Try it this way. Use your lower center of gravity as an advantage. The training sessions became longer, more frequent. Other participants noticed the growing rapport between the human ambassador and the Drachnid general, two leaders from vastly different worlds, finding common ground in the art of combat. The first trial took place in the Sahara Desert. Mixed teams were dropped with minimal supplies, tasked with crossing 300 kilometers of burning sand and hostile terrain. The pure Drachnid team took an early lead, their natural endurance serving them well. But as the days wore on, it was the mixed teams that showed the most promise. Your people's knowledge of resource management is impressive, Vex admitted to Diana as they made camp on the third night. Their team had taken shelter in a natural rock formation, using techniques borrowed from both species to conserve water and energy. "We learned the hard way," Diana replied, checking their water purification system, a hybrid of Drachnid and human technology. "Earth forced us to become efficient. We couldn't rely on strength alone." The conversation stretched into the night, moving from tactical discussions to deeper topics. Vex spoke of his childhood on Drachnia, of watching triple suns rise over fields of crystalline volcanic glass. Diana shared stories of Earth's diverse cultures, of human art and music born from the struggle to survive in countless different environments. "Your species is a paradox," Vex said finally, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "You lack our natural weapons, our armor, our strength. Yet you've mastered challenges that would break most warriors." "How?" Diana looked up at the star-filled sky. "Because we never accepted our limitations. Every time nature said, 'You can't survive here,' we said, 'Watch us try.' Every impossible situation became a puzzle to solve, not a defeat to accept." The next morning, as their team prepared to move out, Diana noticed Vex studying her with a new intensity. The Drachnid general was beginning to understand that humanity's true strength lay not in their bodies, but in their unrelenting spirit, their refusal to accept defeat. As they crossed another dune, a massive sandstorm appeared on the horizon. The pure Drachnid team immediately moved to take shelter, following their standard protocols. But Diana had another idea. "We can use this," she said, already pulling out their modified equipment. "The storm will be our cover." Vex's eyes widened as he understood her plan. It was bold, dangerous, and completely contrary to Drachnid military doctrine. It was, in short, perfectly human. "Perhaps," he grumbled, helping her prepare the equipment, "it's time the Drachnid Empire learned some new tricks." The sandstorm engulfed them, but Diana and Vex's team pushed through, using the worst of the conditions to their advantage. When they emerged on the other side, they had taken the lead, and proven that together, humans and Drachnids could achieve what neither could alone. As they made camp that night, Vex received a private transmission from the Drachnid High Command. The message was brief but clear. "The humans are more than worthy allies. They may be the key to our empire's evolution." Looking over at Diana as she helped other team members set up their shelter, Vex realized that this challenge had become something far more significant than a test of military might. It was becoming the foundation of a partnership that could reshape the galaxy. And perhaps, though he wasn't ready to admit it yet, something even more personal between himself and the remarkable human ambassador. The trials were far from over, but already the galaxy's greatest warriors were learning a crucial lesson. True strength comes not from natural advantages, but from the will to adapt, to learn, and to grow beyond one's limitations. The warning came during the second trial's space combat exercises. Both fleets were running joint maneuvers in Jupiter's orbit when long-range sensors detected the tear in spacetime. Before either humans or drachnids could react, massive ships of unknown design emerged from the rift. Their hulls seemed to absorb light itself. Multiple hostile contacts. Lieutenant Reyna Patel's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge of the UEA's Challenger. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. General Vex's hologram materialized on the bridge, his crimson scales reflecting emergency lighting. "The Void Collective," he growled. "Ancient enemies we thought long extinct. They're drawn to powerful civilizations, to destroy them." Diana Winter, now acting as humanity's military liaison, stepped forward. "How many encounters have you had with them before?" "3. Vex's golden eyes narrowed. "We never won, only survived." The Void Collective's ships moved with impossible grace, their weapons cutting through standard shields like they didn't exist. The first wave targeted the Drachnid dreadnoughts, clearly recognizing them as the known threat. "They're using some kind of gravitational weapon," Reyna reported, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "It's like they're creating localized black holes." Diana watched as 2 Drachnid warships succumbed to the attack, their mighty hulls crumpling under forces they were never designed to resist. But something caught her attention, a pattern in the enemy's movements. "General," she called out, "their ships maintain perfect formation even during attack runs." Too perfect. They're networked, acting as a single consciousness. Vex's eyes widened. Of course, that's how they coordinate such precise attacks. But how does this help us? A slight smile crossed Diana's face. Because humans have been fighting networked systems since we invented computers. Lieutenant Patel, remember that cyber warfare package we were developing? The one based on chaos theory. Reyna's eyes lit up. The digital virus that introduces random variables into targeting systems. But sir, it's untested. Humanity's greatest achievements came from taking chances, Diana cut in. "General, can your ships broadcast our signal through your main communication arrays? They have more power than ours." Vex didn't hesitate. "Do it. My fleet will buy you time." What followed was a dance of destruction and innovation. The Drachnid ships engaged in close combat, their superior armor allowing them to survive longer in the gravity weapons range. Meanwhile, human vessels moved in patterns that seemed random, but followed mathematical principles designed to disrupt the enemy's predictive algorithms. "Signal ready," Reyna announced, broadcasting through Drachnid arrays. Now, the effect wasn't immediately visible, but within minutes, the perfect formation of the Void Collective began to show cracks. Ships started moving independently, their coordinated attacks falling into disarray. "It's working," Diana exclaimed. "General, concentrate fire on the ships that break formation. They'll be the most vulnerable." Vex's tactical genius, Shobasi immediately adapted Drachnid battle doctrine to this new strategy. His ships moved in concert with the human fleet, using their superior firepower to destroy the isolated enemy vessels, while smaller human ships continued to sow chaos in their formations. In the midst of battle, Diana found herself aboard the Storm's Fury, coordinating directly with Vex. The massive Drachnid warship shook with each gravitational attack, but its reinforced hull held. "Your people's ability to find weaknesses is remarkable," Vex observed as they watched another enemy squadron fall into disarray. "We've fought them for centuries, never realizing their greatest strength was also their greatest vulnerability." "Sometimes you need fresh eyes," Diana replied, studying tactical displays. Humanity's history is full of supposedly invincible enemies being defeated by unexpected strategies. The battle raged for hours, But the combined human-drachnid fleet gradually gained the upper hand. The Void Collective, faced with an enemy they couldn't predict or outmaneuver, began to retreat. As the last enemy ships disappeared into another spatial rift, the Bridge of Storm's fury fell silent. Centuries of drachnid military doctrine had been transformed in a single battle, and humanity had proven itself not just equal to the galaxy's greatest warriors, but in some ways superior. Vex turned to Diana, his voice carrying a new tone of respect and something more personal. "Your people never ceased to amaze me, Ambassador. You took our strength and transformed it into something entirely new." "That's what humans do," Diana responded, allowing herself to meet his intense gaze. "We adapt, we learn, and we help others do the same. Imagine what our species could accomplish together." The general's scaled hand moved slightly, almost touching hers. "I'm imagining it, Diana, and I believe the galaxy isn't ready for what we could become." Later that night, as repair crews worked to restore both fleets, Diana received a joint transmission from Earth's governments and the Drachnid High Command. The message was clear. The unofficial military exercises were now a formal alliance. Humanity and the Drachnid Empire would face the future together. But as Diana watched Vex coordinating repair efforts, she realized that something even more significant was evolving. The Drachnids were learning to see beyond pure strength, while humanity was learning to harness power they never knew they had. And in that exchange, both species were becoming something greater than either could have imagined. The Void Collective's attack had proved one thing beyond doubt. The galaxy's greatest warriors had met their match in humanity. But instead of competition, they had found completion. The real question now was, what would they become together? 3 months after the initial Void Collective attack, the combined human-drachnid fleet had transformed. Human innovation merged seamlessly with drachnid engineering, creating ships that defied conventional military doctrine. The flagship of this new fleet, Synthesis, represented the perfect fusion of both species' strengths. On its bridge, Diana Winter and General Vex worked in perfect synchronization. The once rigid drachnid command structure had evolved, incorporating human adaptability and creative thinking. Similarly, human military forces had gained new discipline and power from their drachnid allies. Long-range sensors detect multiple spatial rifts forming, reported Commander Jin Park from his station. The Void Collective is returning, with 3 times the forces they had before. Diana and Vex exchanged glances. Their relationship had deepened over the months of preparation, though neither had spoken openly of it. There was something powerful in their unspoken understanding, a bridge between species that went beyond mere military alliance. "They think numbers will save them," Vex rumbled, his crimson scales gleaming under the bridge lights. "They haven't learned that strength isn't just about size." Diana nodded, activating the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, implement Protocol Prometheus. Remember your training. Uncertainty is our ally." The combined fleet moved into their positions, executing maneuvers that would have been impossible just months ago. Human ships darted between larger drachnid vessels, their movements seemingly chaotic but precisely calculated. Drachnid warships formed protective formations that constantly shifted, making targeting solutions impossible. "They're adapting to our previous tactics." Jin warned the chaos algorithms aren't as effective. "Then we'll give them true chaos," Diana declared. "General, shall we show them what we've been working on?" Vex's mandibles clicked in what Diana now recognized as anticipation. Launch the Fireflies. Thousands of tiny craft emerged from the Allied fleet, a new weapon born from human miniaturization technology and drachnid power systems. Each one contained a quantum uncertainty drive, making their movements truly unpredictable, even to their creators. The Void Collective's perfect formations shattered as they tried to track the impossible movements of the Fireflies. Their networked consciousness, already vulnerable to chaos, began to show signs of complete breakdown. The final battle unfolded across the solar system. The Void Collective, desperate to maintain control, unleashed weapons that bent space itself. But for every cosmic horror they revealed, the human Drachnid Alliance had an answer. They're targeting Earth. Jin's voice carried genuine fear as a massive void ship turned toward the blue planet. Deanna felt Vex's hand on her shoulder, a gesture that would have been unthinkable months ago. "They don't understand," he said quietly. "Threatening your homeworld isn't their path to victory. It's their final mistake. All ships," Diana's voice rang with authority, "execute Operation Daybreak." The combined fleet moved as one organism. Human ingenuity had found a way to use the Void Collective's own gravitational weapons against them, while Drachnid engineering made it possible to survive the tremendous forces involved. The synthesis led the charge, its hybrid systems pushing the boundaries of known physics. Diana and Vex worked in perfect harmony, their strengths complementing each other in ways that transcended mere military efficiency. "Their flagship is vulnerable," Jin reported. "The quantum field is destabilizing." "For Earth and Drachnia," Vex declared, his golden eyes meeting Diana's. In that moment, both understood that their people's future would be shared. The final strike shattered the Void Collective's consciousness. Their ships, suddenly bereft of unified control, fell into disarray. Some vanished back through spatial rifts, while others simply powered down, becoming derelict monuments to a failed invasion. In the aftermath, as celebration signals filled the communication channels, Diana and Vex stood alone in the flagship's observation deck, watching Earth rotate serenely below. "Your people have changed us," Vex admitted, his voice soft. "We thought we were the galaxy's greatest warriors because of our strength. You showed us that true greatness comes from growth, from learning, from—" He paused, turning to face her directly, "from being willing to open our hearts to new possibilities." Diana smiled, reaching out to touch his scaled hand. "And you showed us that we didn't have to choose between strength and adaptability. Together, we're more than either of us could be alone." The news would soon spread across the galaxy. The unbeatable Void Collective had been defeated by an alliance no one could have predicted. The species once known as the galaxy's greatest warriors had found equals not in combat, but in spirit. As Diana and Vex watched the stars together, they knew this was just the beginning. Humanity and the Drachnids would face whatever came next as one, not just allies, but partners in all things. The galaxy's fate would be shaped not by the strongest or the most adaptable alone, but by those who learned to be both. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other civilizations looked toward Earth and Drachnia with new understanding. The age of single-species dominance was over. The future belonged to those who could learn from each other, grow together, and face the universe's challenges as one. The end was just another beginning.